Hello and welcome to Australian Transformers Weekly. We are bringing you Transformers news from around the world with an Australian accent. This is episode 214, as we say in the classics. We are recording live on Friday the 10th of July 2020. This week, there's a whole new wave of Earthrise figures on the way. There's a whole bunch of new Generation Selects and a new collaborative revealed. And there's another new Dark Optimus Prime repaint on its way. All that and more coming up on this week's episode. All right, thanks for joining us. I'm Jason. Joining me this week, we have Max coming to us from Adelaide. How are you doing, Max?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jason. How are you?
Well, I was doing great until you started sounding like a robot just there. Let's try that again. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jason. I'm enjoying my lovely NBN.
Fantastic.
Is that better now?
Yes,
much better.
I'm actually just happy that you're coming to us from a city that is not going back into lockdown for COVID-19 at the moment. So I think
that's
you
because
should be
there's about 5 of us living here.
Yeah, well, also because you don't have security cards that like to do things with hotel guests. Bradley is the other voice you can hear coming to us from Perth, possibly the only place in Australia that's safer than Adelaide. How are you doing, Bradley?
Doing pretty well. COVID-free. Thank you very much for asking. How are you doing? You look like you've got your new pad all set up for Transformers displays.
I do. I've got my study set up. I've got floor space behind me. And wait, I'm just going to, for people watching the video, I'm just going to put myself on the wide shot so you can see. So when I'm in the 3 up, you can see one shelf behind me. When I put myself into the wide shot, you can see a few more shelves behind me. Where I previously had a couple of billies and a smaller billy, I've now got 4 billies and a smaller billy and a bit more stuff going on as well. So I'm pretty happy with it. Lots of extra shelf space. It's still kind of a mess. Like I haven't really decided what goes where on the shelves yet, but that's going to be something that I work out over the coming weeks.
Most important question though, is that all that empty space there, is that for figures that you've got or is that for figures that you're about to buy? Do you have extra room for extra figures now?
There's actually not that much empty space. So I was just saying to Max before we started, like I came from a place where I had 2.5 billies. Now I've got 4.5 billies plus a half height billy that you can't see next to me. I still don't really have enough shelf space, and I haven't got anything extra on the shelves than what I had before. So I can only imagine how much of a mess my shelves were previously. But no, things are looking nice now. I'm getting some extra display risers and some acrylic steps for the smaller things. So I'm going to sort of try figure out how to display some bots as well. And We'll work it out.
Looks good.
Yeah. And Max is also, his display's in a bit of a state of flux as well.
As it has been for probably the past year, let's be honest.
All right. Bradley, do you have a display? Like we never see
Void.
We never see much of the
I have the
display.
page void behind me. No, I've got a massive display in my my bedroom, but I don't broadcast.
A massive display. Yes,
massive.
He's very modest about the size of the display.
A massive empty space. I keep it all displayed in my room, which is just actually through that wall. But I'm pretty sure I'll get in trouble if I took a mallet to that wall right now just to show the display. There is actually a video of it on my YouTube channel.
So I'll tell you what, you'd be forgiven if you took a mallet to the wall, only if you burst through it and went, "Oh yeah!"
Oh yeah, Transformers!
I was just scared the crap out of my cat as well. So yes, look, it's been a few weeks. It's been a few weeks since we've been on. Lockdowns and easing of restrictions and then back into lockdowns and all sorts of weird things going on with our social lives. They've meant a couple of reveals have passed us by, so we're going to do our best to catch up with the news on today's show. We're going to move swiftly on and get to the news. Straight into news.
Hasbro news.
That will take us into some news.
What news comes from by yonder?
Let's start with a little bit of news about local availability for some Earthrise figures. I'll bring the news stream in here. We've had a couple of people reveal on our Facebook group the availability of some new figures locally, including Earthrise Wave 2 leader Doubledealer. Now, I was hoping that Doubledealer was actually going to see an end to the Voyager size figure plus armor trend for leader class figures, but it appears he does not. There's quite a lot of empty space at the bottom of that box, and you can see his feet in the window. So he's a little bit taller than Optimus Prime, but not notably so, and he does come with a lot of extra bits like armor and missiles and guns. So, you'd expect that of Doubledealer, wouldn't you?
Oh, I didn't know that, actually. I thought he was like one big piece, like the G1 toy was.
No, you can see the missile in his box there, and you can see that his feet are above the Earthrise branding on the box, so that's quite a lot of space at the bottom of it.
Oh, yeah, that is a lot of empty space. Accessories or no?
Yeah, no, there's a few accessories in there.
I guess with the Earthrise stuff, it's just sort of following that same Studio Series principle. So it's like, so long as the quality's there, I find it hard to complain about the size.
I agree. Like, I don't think that we need leaders that are like noticeably larger than the rest of it. But I think at the point at which your leader is like a Voyager with extra armor, it does really stretch the friendship asking for an extra $40 for those extra things.
I think also when you're paying a leader class price and you're getting as much container as you are contents, that's a bit of a gap as well. Like, I mean, this guy that we're looking at here, he looks like he's half box and half toy.
Yeah, I mean, like Optimus Prime was also like that though, because Optimus Prime was a Voyager figure in the middle of an open trailer in the back of the box as well. So, the precedent is there. It's going to work that way, but we'll see how it goes. I wouldn't expect me. Yeah, we probably will. I'm not really particularly attached to Doubledealer. Like, I think I'm pretty much done with buying a lot of the mainline Earthrise figures. A couple of things in the upcoming wave interest me, but not a lot. In actual fact, I'm probably going to get the Quintesson stuff. So I'll probably get the Quint. I'll probably get Alicon. And I don't know what else, but we'll see. I do know what I've ordered out of some of the other stuff that's coming up later on in the show as well, though. So if you're looking for Earthrise Doubledealer, you will find him at Toy World at the moment. Unfortunately, Toy World prices things a little bit above retail price. He's $100. So retail price for these guys is $90. Target has Earthrise leaders, but they only have Wave 1 on sale at $50 at the moment. Sorry, not Target. It's Big W. Big W doesn't normally get leaders either, so that's a little bit unusual. And once the toy sale ends, you can expect them to go back to normal price. But you never know; there might be another sale on somewhere else. Like Maya and Kmart and stuff always seem to have some decent prices on stuff, and you can do a bit of price matching. Toy World will not price match, but once it comes to other retailers, you'll see them. Other things that have made local availability in the past couple of weeks, especially this week. So we've also seen Earthrise Wave 2 Battlemasters. So we missed the initial release of Rung in the Siege line last year, but Rung has been re-released in Wave 2 as a Battlemaster, and he's also been released alongside Slitherfang, who is the Cobra ramp. So he's a ramp former to connect up to the city-based playsets and some of the bases like Ironworks and Greasepit. But also he's quite cute as well. So it's kind of hard to begrudge the fact that he turns into a ramp. Other than that, we did get a notice today that these guys have turned up in a Toy World store in Victoria. We are looking at the Siege 2-pack of Ratbat and Rumble. Now, this is quite notable because this did not turn up in regular releases last year when it should have, or at the start of this year. This is the first time that we've seen the figure in Australia. People have paid up to $70 importing this, just for a couple of cassettes. It's a little bit of a
an exclusive at one point, or is that another cassette?
No, it's not an exclusive. It's just poor distribution.
Okay.
So he's around, but if you can't get to a Toy World store, you might still have some trouble getting it, but maybe there'll be someone local might be willing to go into a store and get one for you. His wave partner, I'm not sure what the name for the crew is, but they're Direct Hit and Power Punch. The Micromasters, they are also available at the same store. So these guys also, people paid a lot to import them. For local release news, also just one reminder that the Big W toy sale is on and ends it ends sometime in the following week. So if you're listening to this show earlier in the week, you can still find a Skylynx for the princely sum of $120. He will go back up. I think it says price after promotion there is $150. So if you're in the market for a Skylynx, start moving around and trying to find some of those things in store. You can't order them online, which is a bit disappointing. Do be careful if you do go into stores. Please do practice social distancing. Wear a mask, especially if you are in Victoria. Although if you're in Victoria, you won't be going shopping for these guys. But still, you should wear a mask if you are going in store to look for these things. And same goes for any of the other stores, Toy World, etc. as well. So Skylynx is still available. Skylynx is sitting on the desk in front of me here. I was fortunate enough to pick one up. There's been a lot of complaints in the Facebook group that people can or can't find them at their local store. There'll be a photograph that comes out that says a photograph that comes out saying, "Oh yeah, there's 6 at this Big W store," and people will come and go, "Oh well, there's none at mine." So distribution has not been particularly even. Are you guys going to pick yourselves up a Skylynx, Max?
It's been real tempting. I've been trying to steer clear of mainline stuff for the past year or so, but that Skylynx is sorely tempting me, if I'm honest.
He is a really good Skylynx. It's both of the Commander class figures that have been released thus far. So Jetfire last year and Skylynx this year, they've really hit it out of the park on what you get at the price point. I mean, the price point is meant to be $150. That's 50% greater than the price of Leader. You do get a big transformer with a lot of detail and a lot of moving parts on them. And it does seem like Hasbro has really taken the opportunity to have a bit of a bash at the third parties here, because we've seen third party versions of Jetfire from Fanstoys goes for $300 plus. And the third-party version of Skylynx, the MMC one, I think it comes in 2 parts. It costs you at least $400 or so. And here they are doing these guys at $150. I sold my Fanstoys Phoenix. I don't need it. I've got the Commander class Jetfire, so I'm fine with that. And Skylynx is sitting on the desk in front of me. Don't have a third-party version of him to sell, but I also don't need to acquire one anymore. So. Yeah, he's pretty neat, magnificent, as you would say, as it's printed on his side.
Well,
Bradley, you up for a Skylynx?
Yeah, I was saying before the podcast, a mate of mine actually picked him up for me a couple of weeks ago, but I've still yet to actually collect him.
Yes, fair enough.
So I'm looking forward to getting my hands on it finally.
Mm-hmm. That does seem like a. Oh, look! I had to wait a couple of weeks for mine. Someone picked mine up for me, and then I didn't see them for a couple of weeks. So I've only opened this guy up this week. He's been haunting my dining room table, which is fine, because every time I have a meal, I'm tempted to sort of sit him next to my meal, going, "Can I have some food, please?" Skylynx does not beg, however. No. Let's move on. So yeah, just a reminder: Big W toy sale is still on. There was a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday morning a reveal of some new Transformers Generation Select figures, some exclusives, and a brand new line called R.E.D. Now we're going to start off with the Generation Select version. So for those of you who are unaware, for the 5 of you who are unaware, Generation Selects generally are not new molds, but they are repaints of existing molds into new characters, using some clever new color schemes often they're sort of the initial Western release of certain versions of characters, which is what we're seeing here. What we're looking at here is the Generation Select Deluxe Tigertrack. Now, Tigertrack, as Tigertrack usually is a yellow repaint of Sideswipe, Wouldn't that be Sunstreaker, you say? No, he's the other way around. So Tigertrack is a Japanese line figure, and this is the first time that he's actually seen a release in the West under his own name or anything like that. Generation Selects are generally available from Hasbro Pulse, but also available from some retailers. Sometimes they're exclusives. I don't believe this one is, though. I think you can pretty much buy him far and wide. So he's a lovely yellow repaint of Sideswipe, and he has a clear window as well, just to differentiate him. Because Sideswipe's windows are black. And so he comes with a handgun, comes with a shoulder missile, just some slightly different colors on him, and he's pretty nice. Now, I am a fan of the Sideswipe mold. The Sideswipe mold has also seen another notable reuse this week, but we'll get to that shortly. And he looks pretty great. Now, alongside Tigertrack, we also got announced a new release of a Rotorstorm figure. Now, Rotorstorm, I think, is in the same vein as Tigertrack. So this guy's a repaint of Siege Spinister. Some great use of color on him. He's really got these. He's got this blue and purple. Now, Spinister had a fantastic color scheme to begin with, but it was a lot darker than this, sort of matching up the original Toys colors. This version of Rotorstorm, while Spinister is not perfectly suited to Rotorstorm, it's close enough, right? Like you can paint his chopper blades bright pink. You can give him the yellow guns and give him the pink windows and everything. It's pretty nice, I think.
Yeah, and they're both for sort of characters that have looked variable enough over the years that you can just fudge it in your head. Absolutely,
yeah. So look, I gotta say, I've got Tigertrack on order. I've got I was gonna say Spinister. I've got Rotorstorm on order. I don't have the original Spinister, but I kind of don't really need him. I'm happy to have Rotorstorm on my shelf anyway.
I think this Rotorstorm could also be used as your G2 Spinister if there was ever one. Because for some reason, he looks like G2 colors to me.
Well, so Rotorstorm did sort of have a bit of a G2 colors, G2-esque color scheme to him anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon that looks pretty great. I'm looking forward to the release. He's coming out. I think they're coming out either September or October, or possibly November. It's going to be a little while.
This is what I'm looking forward to.
This is the third generation. It's like this one is exclusive to Hasbro Pulse. Frustratingly, it is a repaint of Brunt in a grey color scheme as an IDW style Centurion. Now that's cool enough. Like Brunt's a fun figure. You can reassemble him however you want. He doesn't really look that much like Centurion, but sure, whatever. But the notable part of this is not what he transforms into or anything like that. It's the accessories pack that comes with him. The accessories pack is extremely cool and fun. They've got updated versions of some of the characters' G1 guns with 5mm pegs so that they can be held by modern figures, and some of the accessories, they're not just guns, they're jetpacks. There's Optimus Prime's Energon axe, Megatron's mace. There's a couple of Energon cubes in there. There's also representations of the gun modes of these original toys as well. So there's a gun mode Shockwave and there's a gun mode Megatron. And is there a Shockwave? I thought there was a Shockwave.
Shockwave. I think he's in grey, which kind of sucks in the top right.
Yeah, that's right.
Then they make up for it with a reflector.
That's right. There's a reflector in there. There's a satellite dish. I can't remember who the satellite dish is from. There's a little sound wave as well, and there's a roller, so you can put roller in Earthrise Prime's trailer. That's pretty great. There's a cage for Ravage. And yeah, there's so much fun stuff in here. It does add on to the price. Like Centurion, I think is a good $15 or so more than the standard deluxe. But who cares when it's this much fun stuff? So I do have a Centurion on order as well. Like we've talked about this a bit. I like my collection to look a little bit different to everyone else's. So I tend to go for the exclusives and the non-standard paint jobs that you get from the Generation Select line. So when I said earlier, I'm sort of done buying most of the mainline figures, it's because I'll buy the Gen Select versions.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you're getting a repaint, and you're not missing out on the retail release because you got the same toy, just a little bit painted different.
Absolutely, yeah. The accessories pack is pretty cool. And also, I didn't really call attention to it. It is there on screen. There is sort of a more accurate version of Optimus Prime's rifle as well, just in case you need your Optimus Prime to have an even bigger gun.
Yeah, that thing looks huge in comparison to everything else there. It's kind of like when you put it in Earthrise Prime, you're just going to slant to the side a bit. That's how big it looks.
You can use it to prop him up like an old man. Yeah. Just looking at the photos there. So he does come in a larger, Centurion does come in a larger than usual box because he's got the size of the Deluxe figure and the weapons back there. It's probably about the size of a Voyager. And we also got a black version of Optimus Prime, which I think we spoke about last episode as we were anticipating its release. A Nemesis Prime or a Sleep Mode Prime. Nope, he's the alternate universe. Alternate universe Optimus Prime. He is an Amazon exclusive, which does fulfill the old Amazon Prime joke, which I definitely remember we talked about on the last podcast. But so he is an Amazon exclusive. He comes in and out of stock on Amazon. He only appears to be on sale at present on Amazon US. So if you do want him, you're going to have to ship him to a freight forwarder and get him, or purchase him from somewhere else. So I think in the US he's an Amazon exclusive. He's also found a general release in Asia as well. So keep an eye out for him on eBay or on your favorite toy importer website. So he's a fairly standard Earthrise Prime.
That's not him.
That is not him on screen at the moment. We have a G1 Blaster. Now, Walmart has for a few years now been doing G1 figure reissues. So they started off with Starscream and Devastator and the Minibots. They then, I think they did Soundwave more recently, and I think they've also done Astro Train or Blitzwing or both of them. Possibly just one of them. And the next one is Blaster, as we see here. Blaster is a big, chunky G1 boy, and that's pretty much what we've always loved about the G1 Blaster toy. He's very much the equal and opposite of Soundwave. Turns into a cassette deck that holds cassettes in his chest. Not sure if he's shipping with any cassettes, but also this figure's been reissued a few times now. So like. The Walmart reissues start really expensive and then they just drop on clearance. Soundwave has gone for $13 in some stores.
Oh wow! And
in some stores, if you were lucky enough, you'd walk in and find a G1 reissue sealed box Soundwave at $6.
Is that the one that came with all the cassettes a few years ago?
No, it's from last year. It's last year or earlier this year even. He's just going on like a run out sale. It's been great. So if you're after a Blaster, there's a lot of options for Blaster, but if you really want the Walmart version, maybe hold on a bit and see if you can pick it up. It's really interesting watching the live reveal of these figures as someone who's not in the USA. I really felt like just sort of grabbing my phone and screaming at Hasbro, hey, what about the rest of the world? Because Hasbro, when they announce these things, they are very focused on the US market. And so, obviously Walmart doesn't exist outside the US, and they don't have a global exclusivity on a lot of these things. But some of them they do. Like a lot of these reissue G1 figures have not come out elsewhere. The Minibots are coming to Kmart now, 2 years after they were at Walmart. And there are people saying that Kmart's going to get more G1 reissues, but I haven't actually seen official confirmation of this. Also, they're quite expensive. The G1 Minibots, when they hit Cotton On a couple of years ago, they were $15. These are now $20 at Kmart, which is a lot of money for a G1 reissue. Like, they are not complicated figures. Maybe they got a bit of die cast in them. I don't know. So how are you guys with G1 reissues? Do you go after these reissues, or do you tend to just sort of stick to more modern figures?
For me, the appeal of owning a G1 mold is that it's the original release of the thing.
So do you mean you wouldn't go for a reissue?
Yeah, it's being a reissue sort of just defeats the purpose of owning a G1 figure for me. I can see why I think for nostalgia's sake, But for a lot of people, like I'm 20 years old, I didn't grow up with G1. If I'm buying a G1 figure, it's because I want it as a piece of the franchise history, and I don't really get the same appeal with a reissue. And
I know a few people see it this way, and a few people. I'm going to play devil's advocate because I tend not to go for the reissues myself, but then sometimes I do. Well, actually, that's not true. Let's go from a point, which is that if you want to put a Starscream in your collection and you want him to look good, you're probably better off going for a reissue because no one's going to know that it's not the original G1 toy and it's a later reissue of it. But you'll get a complete thing. It'll the stickers won't be coming off. All of the pieces will be there, and like the transformation will be tight. There won't be loose joints on it. If you're just displaying stuff, then you may as well go for a reissue. But you'll always know it's a reissue, and it depends whether or not it's important to you that you actually have the real figure from the 80s or a reissue. And I think there's been enough made of the Walmart reissues over the last few years that people are okay with buying the reissues. And I say this about I'm not really going for the reissues because I'm done with the reissues. I've got the entire Takara book collection. So I don't need to go for reissues anymore because I've managed to fill my shelves up with them already. I've also got eHobby. So I've got eHobby reissues, which are a little bit different, I think, but they are still reissues. They're not the original figures. Bradley, you were going to say something.
I was. I pieced together a lot of my collection when I started collecting, like big time in like 2004. So that was like prime Takara reissue book season. Yeah. So I pieced together a lot of the collection from that. I do have a few like original G1 toys that I pieced together from like eBay and such. But I think one thing that a lot of people like about these reissues is the fact that you can go into a brick and mortar store and pick up a G1 Transformer from the 80s. I think that's what a few people like as well, instead of just having to buy a secondhand piece online, and when it gets to you, it might still be in the same condition. It might not be. But usually whenever I see a G1 reissue these days, I'm kind of like, personally, I don't care. I collect classics now, and I've got a lot of classics toys that I've got G1 versions of. Like I've got Power of the Primes Dinobots, but I've also got G1 Dinobots. But G1 just doesn't really do it for me anymore. Is it because of the limited articulation or the designs, or is it just your tastes have moved on? There could be a few. One thing that always gets to me, and I try not to let it get to me, but it does, is scale. And if you don't have a G1 Blaster, but you do collect G1 Blaster is one of the largest Autobot toys around. I think isn't he on par with Metroplex? Like for G1 Metroplex, aren't they sort of?
Yeah, he's a big boy.
He's a big chunky boy, like I said. I don't think he's as big as Metroplex, but his size is somewhat due to the fact that he actually transforms into the correct scale of his alt mode. Actually, not really, because his alt mode is more of a ghetto blaster and he's more the micro cassettes like Soundwave. But
I was going to say Soundwave's a bit more.
It's still pretty good.
It's like I've got the book reissue of Blaster, and he's a really fun toy, and he's a very, very simple, fun transformation, and he's an awesome toy. But personally, like I said before, whenever I see G1 reissues these days, I'm kind of like indifferent. Yeah.
I fall into a trap mentally that I think I've mentioned on the podcast before. I fall into a trap mentally where I see it and I'm like, great. Oh, Blaster, cool. I might have to get that. Oh, wait on. I already have it. I've got the book reissue of Blaster as well. Like, I don't need another Blaster. Same thing with Astro Train. I've got the book reissue of Astro Train. The thing is that ultimately, with most of these guys, at least, they haven't gone sort of back to create new molds of them. They have spruced up the molds on some of the mini bots and updated them in a few key places. But they're still producing the figures that they were initially reissuing in the book style series. Like they're not going to suddenly reach back and reissue Dinobots, at least that we think, because like those molds aren't really available to them anymore. They're busted or something. They could always just buy all the KOs and ship them out as originals. But they're still basically reissuing the figures that we already saw reissued over the last 20 or so years, which it's not too surprising. They're not gonna spend money developing new molds of old toys, but it means that for me, and I think for yourself, Bradley, if you've got all of the G1 TFC books, then there's not really going to be that much interesting here coming out for us. I guess Devastator's not in that series. I would have been interested in the Devastator gift set, but that's long gone now.
Yeah, that's that's a distant memory. I was going to say something, but I forgot. But I was going to say with the the Starscream reissue, one thing much better in the Takara one was he came with a little G1 Megatron gun mode.
So does the Walmart one.
Oh, does it? I didn't know that. Oh, well, there you go. Go buy that.
Yeah.
You G1 Starscream.
You know what? You'll probably find the book style one will be cheaper than that. Actually, I had this discussion with someone the other day. Like, someone said, "Oh, great! I got a G1 Starscream. It was $80 or something." I was like, "Oh God! Like, surely you can get a G1 Starscream, like maybe the book style reissue for less than $80." No, they're all really expensive now.
Was that the an original G1 that he got, or was it
no? It was the Walmart reissue. Oh, okay. They're fetching a pretty penny now because they're a couple of years old. They're not that they're not that easy to find.
Yeah, but that's what I was going to say.
They need to reissue the reissue.
Yeah, well, I mean that's what's happening now, isn't it? Because all the G1 reissues, like you're saying, the original molds mostly have been destroyed. So now, whenever it's like we've got G1 reissues coming out, it's like, well, we've probably seen it already in the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget there was a Blaster reissue in a 2-pack with Perceptor a couple of years ago, the Intel Ops pack. We also got the weird coloured Astro Train and Blitzwing, which I say weird, I kind of want them now. But
was that the Diaclone coloured ones?
Yes, I believe that was Diaclone colours. So yeah, like this is not. I mean, but in terms of Blaster reissues, there was also the sparkly SDCC one from a few years before that. Like, this is not. It's, if people want a Blaster reissue, they probably can already get one. But regardless of that, there's still been quite a lot of excitement about the fact that they're reissuing Blaster. So make of that what you will. There's a lot of anger that there are Walmart exclusives, but I don't know that that's really something Hasbro can do much about at this point.
I've only just remembered I've also got three versions of this mold as well. But
I have a couple of versions of it as well. So I've got the eHobby Twin Cast.
Yep.
And Lord knows if I get a chance to buy the Shattered Glass one, I will buy it too.
That's the one I've got.
You got a Shattered Glass Blaster?
Yeah, I've got him.
Where's the kick button?
Like legit, I put him on my shelf and then I put him back into the box. So he and Soundwave are just sitting in the box.
We'll talk about selling that later.
I was going to legit, offer it to you, but now that you're gonna kick me from the podcast, you can stick it, mate.
Fine, you can stay. I'll send you my postage address later. I legit did not know that you had the Shattered Glass set. That's great.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep moving. We talked a bit about G1 reissues for a little while. There is that chunky stereo mode for Blaster. Now let's talk about something new. So Hasbro also revealed last week, they let the cat out of the bag a day before their actual live stream. They revealed a new series of non-transforming figures that are, let's see, check my notes. They're not called Action Masters.
What?
This is surprising. It's a missed opportunity on their part, but they are bringing out this new series of. They're about 6-inch figures. They're fairly well articulated, and they don't transform, so they don't have any kibble on them. But that makes them more cartoon accurate. They're called the Transformers Redline, or R.E.D. for Robot Enhanced Design, because they are robots. And so they feature they feature the sort of the tricks that you usually see on, say, a Revoltech figure. So you can change some of the hands, change some of the accessories. You can see a picture of Megatron here holding an Energon cube. This is changing one of Megatron's hands to one that's molded as holding an Energon cube. You can change his face and other things like that. I don't think they come with blast effects, which would kind of be nice if they did. But they are very, very sort of cartoon accurate versions of these. But the cartoon accurate in their cartoon accuracy is somewhat of a bit of a blend between cartoon accurate and toy accurate and comic accurate. There are some details in here that I don't recall seeing in the cartoon, for example. Still, like it's a really nice representation of Megatron. Like I said, he's about 6 inches. It's about the size of I'm not sure, one of the new Revoltechs, sort of one of the old Revoltech figures, and he's very, very articulated. You can see his knee joint changing there. You can see he's got the mace attachment in this shot, and I think you can see also that he's got the fist under his gun, so under his gun arm. So
it looks like he's also got a decent ab crunch too.
It does, yeah. So there's a lot of
the biggest draw on these guys.
It is. The posabilities there. These are. I'm not. I can't remember if they're $19.95 or $29.95 US.
Yeah, they're $20.
$20. Like, this is pretty good for a $20 action figure, right?
Yeah,
that's a really good pose that we're looking at.
Very
too.
much just like a direct response to Hasbro's other 6-inch lines, because they had the Marvel Legends and Star Wars Black Series going for years now.
That's right. They're very high quality figures in those lines.
Yeah. And now they've started doing the Power Rangers ones in the same style. They just started doing, G.I. Joes in 6 inches now, like in that 1/12 scale. Yeah. And so I guess I figure, well, Transformers is, it's their big name thing. May as well create something in the same price point.
Do you know what? So I see this and I'm sort of like, they've gone back to the G1 figures again. So like we've looked at Megatron, we're looking at Soundwave now. Soundwave does come with like the opening chest door and a little laser beak as well. What I would really like to see happen with something like this is for them to go, right, well, this is not the main line of Transformers, but maybe they could do a comic series here and sort of do comic representations of some of the characters. And I am heading towards the Lost Light crew, so it's not like Transformers transformed a lot in More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light, so this is kind of a good line to represent some of those figures in. You could definitely do the more comic styling of these figures if they don't need to transform, and so they could do a whole series of Transformers Red as More Than Meets the Eye, and bring in those. They could do a series of DJDs. It could be really cool. They've got 4 figures, I think, for the initial release. We're looking at Soundwave on screen here. Now we've got Optimus Prime, who does have a matrix in his chest as well. And I believe there's a Bumblebee as well, but I don't think we have photos of him here.
Well, I guess the thing you mentioned about, bringing in those comic designs or whatever is that in the product descriptions for these, they say, it's G1 Transformers, Beast Wars, Prime, and beyond, right? So and I think there was a Cheetor from Beast Wars and an Arcee from Prime rumored.
Yes, that's right. I've seen listings of these, but I don't think we've actually seen the products.
No. So what I'm kind of hoping is that, we've seen Generations recently move from, obviously it was G1 dominated largely beforehand. It has become essentially entirely G1 as opposed to being Generations, right? So if we could see this sort of fill the void of representing multiple eras of Transformers, I think that could be a really positive move, because we're not getting much in the way of variation amongst the main lines right now.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would really like to see that a little bit more. Like, I feel like as far as Prime figures go, like, you can get Prime figures if you want. I don't feel like they really need to bring Prime figures into Generations, because like that toy line has not been off shelves long enough to make them really hard to get. I mean, some of them, sure, but if you want a Prime Arcee, you can probably get it. But still, I think it's nice to see some representation in here still.
Yeah, and it's also just a different style of figure too. So even if we may have recently, like we've recently had G1 Prime, we've recently had G1 Soundwave, etc. Right? It's a different take on these. So even if we might say, oh, if you wanted, I don't know, like what Prime Arcee, that easy example, right?
Mm.
Sure, the original version of that is probably still easy to get and quite good, but it's a different kind of figure for a different market. So I think that could fairly well justify pumping those out.
Yeah. So look, that's the end of the reveals. The Transformers Red Line is a Walmart exclusive in the US. We haven't seen any international release of it yet.
I think these days we should just go with a tagline: "Everything shown here is a Walmart exclusive."
Let's talk about another Walmart exclusive, shall we? So we have heard we've actually had a number of rumors on collaborative figures in the last few months. There was a photograph that came out probably about a month, maybe a month and a half ago, showing a Cyclonus figure and a very large Transformers collaborative Top Gun F-15. Now, when they said that they were going to announce a new collaborative figure, we thought that would be it, but no, it was not. The Hasbro gave everyone a bit of a bolt from the blue with a Back to the Future DeLorean collab with as I mentioned, I alluded to earlier. This is a retool of the Siege Sideswipe mold.
Oh,
now he's a pretty major retool. They've given him gull wing doors after all, and of course they've sort of got all the DeLorean kibble on him as well. Now, major talking point in this is the windscreen, which doesn't look great, but
no.
Don't really know what's going on there.
Is that meant to be like a robot mode thing?
I don't think so. Not really sure. Not really sure what's going on there. Now, so what they've done is they've announced this new character called Gigawatt, or if you like to watch animated GIFs, Gigawatt. And like we said, he's a Siege Sideswipe repaint.
Whoa.
With a lot of extra detail put in. So he's got the
flux capacitor of leadership.
Yes, he is. He's got the flux capacitor of leadership, and like I said, he's got the gull wing doors, and he's also got quite a lot of detail on the back as well. There's an ad. He's got quite a lot of detail on the back. He's got the Mr. Juicer and everything like that, and all this additional stuff. And I think there's probably also a bit of I think the black stuff that wraps around him is probably rubber, just like the last collaborative figures as well. He's been released as a Walmart exclusive with a run of 1,985 in a hilarious joke referencing the original year of Back to the Future's release, being 1985. However, it wasn't really so funny when they messed up the release date and time of the figure online on Walmart.com. They said that it would be available at 3 a.m. It was available at sometime like 11 a.m., so people had been waiting for hours. And when Walmart released it, people scooped up 12 at a time, and they are now going for stupid money on eBay.
Big surprise.
It was not particularly well handled on part of either Hasbro or Walmart, but Hasbro has also revealed at the same time that this is the limited edition release, and there will be a general release coming in October. That will probably be coming from Hasbro Pulse. And last year we saw Ectotron released far and wide. You can still buy Ectotron if you're looking for him. A couple of people mentioned him in the group yesterday, and I can say Pop Culture does still have Ectotron available for his retail price of $80. So if you're looking for that still, you'll find it. And I dare say the same thing will happen with this. You will be able to get your Gigawatt if you can't get him in the initial releases. I dare say he'll be released as a he'll be available from most of the people who import figures as well.
Yeah. I have nothing to really substantiate this, but I do feel like this guy, they might try and make him a bit more widely available, just because if you're thinking about Transformers is going to do a crossover line with like other 80s properties and iconic vehicles and stuff, the DeLorean is kind of the
This has
obvious
been-
thing that comes to mind. This has been like the crossover T-shirt fan art kind of thing for years now. Like, it's the obvious choice, and I feel like it's going to garner a lot more interest compared to like a Top Gun jet or whatever. Yeah.
I think the Top Gun jet is interesting, but yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But this is it for now. So I will also just point out there is a Transformers panel at the Comic-Con at home, which would have been SDCC, coming up in 2 weeks' time. So I think we can expect to see some more reveals there, which we'll get to in a minute. And I think we might see that Top Gun fighter as a part of that reveal. Depends. The release of Top Gun Maverick has been postponed until later in the year, like every other cinematic masterpiece. So we will see whether or not Hasbro actually goes to market with their Top Gun crossover or not. Either way, I'm looking forward to getting Gigawatt. I want it. Like I said earlier, the Siege Sideswipe mold is a personal favorite, so I'm more than happy to get this. There's a lot of suspicion that repro labels will have something to cover up that horrible windscreen. So yeah,
I'm looking forward to this, just mostly as a companion piece to Ectotron, but also, yeah, like Max was saying, this has been sort of heavily like fanficked for like decades now. A transforming DeLorean, and here we have the official merging of the two, and yeah, it looks serviceable as not a heavy reference to the first movie. I don't think there's any references to the second, definitely none to the third.
Yeah, actually, I'm quite surprised by that, but I also wonder whether his wheels turn down or not. I mean, I think you can actually turn Sideswipe's wheels down anyway.
That robot mode there, it looks like they're going to his shins.
Hmm.
I don't know. Well, like I said, though, this looks like
to go with a repaint.
Give
them somewhere to go with a repaint.
Yeah, I mean, I said,
there was a lot of when it came out that it was going to be Back to the Future. There was a lot of people thinking that there's going to be an Astro train in there as well.
I can see that, but like I said, this just looks like, with the accessories and such, like it's a nod to the first Back to the Future, not the trilogy. So it probably doesn't have the fold-up wheels because they were only seen at like the end of the first movie.
Yeah, I think it's fine because it's the time machine from Back to the Future, and the iconic time machine is the DeLorean, not the flying DeLorean, and not the train. So I think it's fine. I'm really looking forward to getting him. He's if they're going out in October, they shouldn't be. I mean, it shouldn't be too far away. What is it? It's July, August. Oh, there's still like two and a half months for us to wait.
I just wonder if the interior of the canopy and car mode, I wonder if you can see like a little flux capacitor in the back of that. So I don't think that's going to be folding into the back. Well, actually, you can't see shit through that windscreen, can you?
Yeah, not so sure. Not so sure. You can sort of see in this photo here. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to getting this. I don't think he's going to be very expensive because he is just a deluxe.
Actually, I legitimately did not know that story that you were telling us about. They released it and it was snapped up like that. I thought this was just an upcoming release. I didn't realize it had been released and sort of technically.
Let's just say there's a lot of pissed off Transformers fans.
And you can't blame them, can you?
So I woke up to find out about the reveal, and when I was awake, I woke up to the news, and it was like, oh, it's going on sale at 1 p.m. today. I was like, what time is 1 p.m. Oh my god, it's 2:45, and it goes on sale at 3. That's fantastic. So I sat there for 15 minutes in the morning trying to find something to keep myself awake, refreshing the page, and then once it hit 3 a.m. nothing happened.
Sold out, or just nothing at all?
It didn't go. It didn't sell out. It didn't go up for sale at all. And people were posting online saying the link doesn't work. What's going on? I went back to sleep. I woke up at 5 a.m. and I checked again. People were still saying the link didn't work. I refreshed a little bit, and I just commented on the post. I'm like, I've played your game. I've disrupted my sleep pattern. Fuck you.
Did they have like a press release, or did they just say, "Hey, we sold out. This was a success"?
So there was a press release announcing the launch of the figure, but the Transformers Facebook page sort of dropped in after a few hours, going, "Hey guys, sorry about the availability issues. Walmart promises they'll be up soon." And then, like after an hour or two, it was like, "Hey, it's sold out. Sorry," and everyone was like, "What? I didn't even get a chance to find it." Like, just remember, there were 1,985 of these, and people were buying them 12 at a time because they just threw as many as they could into their cart.
Shocking.
I think it's really poor, but at the same time, this is a limited edition version, and there will be a general release version. The only difference with the limited edition one is the number plate or something. And to be perfectly honest, I would prefer the number plate to say "out of time."
Yeah, I mean, and you were saying this is really poor. I think the only thing that's not poor is probably Walmart. They're probably really rich with people buying 12 of these at a time.
It's true. I think it's unfortunate that Hasbro chooses to release exclusive figures in this way. The better way to handle a special edition release like this, even just like do it on a fucking eBay store where you can at least set a minimum purchase number or a maximum purchase number, the number of things that you have in stock, and the time for it to go live. Like, do it on Hasbro Pulse. If you're going to do the limited edition version, do the limited edition version on Hasbro Pulse, and then do the general release at Walmart or whatever. I just think they went about this the wrong way.
Yeah, this sounds like a massive F up on Walmart's part, and it sounds like Hasbro was just at their mercy.
Not so sure about being at their mercy, but I think once you've entered into an arrangement for things to go on in stock and transfer stock and stuff, like maybe you are at their mercy, but it's not really necessarily like that. But still,
yeah.
Anyway, we got a Back to the Future Transformer that's coming, and he's only a few months away. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Hasbro did not reveal last week is the existence of a repaint of Siege Wheeljack in the form of exhaust. Now we can see here that this figure exists. He's got the paint job. He's got the head sculpt, which looks wicked. But they didn't reveal this last week, and I suspect that this might be revealed at SDCC in a couple of weeks' time. He's going to be another Generation Selects figure. As we said, he's a wheel paint region. A wheeljack. He's a wheel paint. He's a wheel paint rejack. And also, notably, he doesn't have a Decepticon symbol on him.
Yeah,
I think that's the Siege. No, sorry, the Earthrise Mercenaries symbol.
Yeah, which begs a lot of questions, considering, for starters, why do the mercenaries have symbols, and then also the fact that the instructions have him labelled as Decepticon exhaust.
Actually, it kind of goes back to this thing where a Transformer needs to be an Autobot or a Decepticon for them to put it on sale. Do you remember when Unicron went on sale and Unicron had a Decepticon logo on him? Because they're like, well, we got to put one of them on him.
Yeah, sometimes there's trademark issues too. Like for some names, they can just be like, "Oh, Optimus Prime," right? That's a Transformer, but they can't really trademark Autobot. So even if they don't want him to be a Decepticon, they have to label it on the package as Decepticon exhaust.
I think Hasbro knows that no one will call the figure Decepticon exhaust, and they don't. It is just a trademark thing. People will call this figure exhaust. But being a repaint of Earthrise Wheeljack, he's got some good articulation. I think there's an ankle tilt there. There's a bit of a sprint. He's about to pounce on there, and there's a size comparison to Siege Megatron.
I'm guessing this toy also comes sans cigarette advertising.
He, as you can see there, he says Bandit on the front, not Marlboro.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Cigarettes sold separately.
Yeah,
they're probably not sold at all because Cup took them all.
I wonder if repro labels.
They will.
No, they won't. In fact, this discussion has been had a little bit with repro labels as to whether or not they'll do that, and they say no because it's a tobacco thing, and they're not going near it. So you won't find a Marlboro sticker coming from repro labels. Also, they'd have to license it too. And
True.
Because it wasn't repro labels that did it last time. It was
someone else,
some random bloke out of China, I think it was.
There's some nice photos of the car mode here. A couple of them, if you look at them from a distance, it actually almost looks like they've really done a decent depth of field on the shot to make it look like they've actually photographed a real car.
Yeah.
Well done. And there we go. And so there's his instruction packet for Decepticon exhaust. Now, also with that, there's also Greasepit has been seen. Now, Greasepit's going to be another one of those pull apart figures, sort of like Brunt, like Centurion, and like Ironworks.
Or is it? No, it's not. He's not a weaponizer. He's just a pull apart.
Actually, I think they are weaponizers, aren't they? Weaponizers. Are the weaponizers the actual weapons, or are they the things that pull apart and become weapons?
The weaponizers are things that pull apart and become weapons, but I didn't know these guys became weapons. I thought they were just
like you can assemble them into weapons, whatever. Anyway, so it's Greasepit. He'll go together with Ironworks. He'll go together with Airwave. They connect up to all the city bots as well. So they're pretty neat. And these are essentially playsets for the Micromasters. So pretty cool. There are also references back to the original appearance of these playsets in G1.
So this just looks like a playset I had as a kid. Like Mum found them at op shops and she'll buy them for me for my Matchbox cars. This literally looks like one of those.
Yeah, also the G1 Micromaster ones, they really were Hasbro bringing those sort of playsets into the Transformers line.
Yeah. This looks pretty cool.
With a bit of transformation included as well, like they would pop out missiles and an air defense system. I'm pretty sure he does have a robot mode as well, but or either robot or battle stations. It's sort of like Ironworks has the sort of like the mining bot and a robot mode. But so we do have some unrevealed generation selects hanging around. So Exhaust and Greasepit probably will make their way to Hasbro Pulse or whatever other releases in the next few months. I think they've really sort of gone big on generation selects. They didn't do anything at the start of the year for Gen Selects. We only had the 4-pack of cassettes, so they're really sort of hotting up that end of the line now.
Yeah.
Just quickly, one of the other things that was revealed. We won't go to any pictures of it. Netflix's War for Cybertron series is nearing release. It is coming on July 30th. There's 6 episodes. They all drop at the same time. And there is a new trailer out. If you look at it on YouTube, it looks suitably dark and moody, and everyone's speaking very slowly so that the animators don't have to do much work. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what you expect from them these days, don't you?
Pretty much. Let's go to a couple of in-hand photographs of upcoming Transformers. We have a couple of photographs have come out in the last couple of days about Earthrise Arcee. Now, we are looking here at Earthrise Arcee's alt mode, which looks fantastic. She's a fantastic representation of the G1 figure. The G1, well, it's not the G1 figure, the G1 character. She only appeared in the alt mode. And it all sort of it all goes badly for fans when you turn it over and look at this. So, Arcee's sort of been accused of being a bit of a shell former, and I mean, it's true, but also there's been a lot made of this in the last couple of days, and I got to be honest, I don't know how the hell else you would expect this figure to be done. She does not have like thick legs to fold things into, so you are basically going to be hiding the robot mode inside a car.
Yeah, that's the same thing he did with the Generations from 2014.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we see all these different takes on Arcee all the time, right? And there's various compromises that are made to differing extents. For each Arcee figure that comes out, the amount of compromise between being G1 versus its own take versus proper car mode versus a proper robot mode, it all goes up and down. Whereas here, they've just sort of gone, right, we'll have a very, a dead-on accurate looking G1 robot mode and a dead-on accurate looking G1 car mode. Bugger everything else, right? Transformation doesn't matter. None of that matters. And so it's, but they're not compromising what are probably the two of the most important things, and everything else just sort of gets shoved to the wayside. And now either you like that or you don't. really. There's been a lot of RC figures.
Yeah, and the picture Jason had up before showing off the the other RC, this one here, that's the RC from, I think it was 2014. I think that's
the Thrilling 30 series, 2014, 2015.
I think that's the Japanese one because it's different colors to ones I've got. And you can see there, like, it's just literally her legs folded along the whole car mode. Her arms are folded down. And
I wonder if people are just shitty that like they didn't at least break the robot mode apart.
I would say that's a huge thing, because from this picture we're looking at, it looks like to transform her, you extend her legs out and fold the car bits onto her back, and that's it.
I think at that point it's worth noting that there have been some very simple transformations in Siege and Earthrise, and some fairly complicated ones as well. Like, it's the way that a figure transforms is just the way that the figure transforms. It's the way it's been designed to. I don't really have that much of a problem with this. Like I said, I don't know how else people thought they were going to tackle Arcee. The Thrilling 30 figure is a mess underneath. At least underneath is one like, oh, that's Arcee. But
other ones seem to try and half it a bit. They're a bit ashamed of what they are. There's big gaps in the vehicle mode, or there's compromises here and there. Whereas this one's just kind of shameless. It's like, no, here's your vehicle, here's your robot. You're done.
You think it could also be people see this and they're worried about what Masterpiece RC would be like? Do you think that's where a lot of it's coming from?
There's a lot of RC going around, and there is, of course, the debate over Masterpiece RC's chest design as well. And there have been a lot of people sort of holding up the Earthrise version of Arcee to the Masterpiece one, going, but look at this. And now they're like, oh, shit.
Now they're like, oh, look at this.
Like I said, I don't really have that much of a problem either way with it. If you don't like this version of Arcee, just wait a couple of years. There'll be another one.
Oh, third parties, plenty of them.
Yeah, there's tons of third party as well. But I mean, talking about mainline releases and retail releases, there'll be another one in a couple of years.
But just everyone calm down. There will be an RC for you. If this one isn't for you, don't try and make other people see it your way. Just be grateful that some people are happy with an RC.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's too much of a problem. I'm not sure that I'm really looking to add it to my collection, but it is what it is. So there's sort of a good sort of representation there of sort of how you fold the legs out and then fold the back up. There you go. Like, it's actually, in terms of storing that entire car mode on her back, that's quite ingenious.
Did they say anything about, like, I mean, that looks pretty good, but back heavy? Or did they say anything?
I don't know. Like, she does look pretty back heavy, but also look at the feet.
She's got surfboard legs.
Yeah. So part of the bonnet does convert into a stand or something that you can stand on. I think it's fine. It looks fine. It's just the Earthrise version of Arcee.
And she looks more G1 than the Thrilling 30 Arcee.
True. Yeah. So there you go. So there's sort of the piece that attaches there for the shield or stand or something. Besides Arcee, there's also been some new pictures of Masterpiece MPM 11 Ratchet come out. Now these are mostly notable for the fact that both the green parts of the figure are now the same color green, which absolutely incensed fans across the world, and they decried the existence of this figure when the prototypes were shown, and the prototype dared to have a different color paint. Hasbro did say at the time that it was a prototype and the paint colors were not final. Now they are final. Turns out they're fine. So Ratchet looks pretty screen accurate. The Masterpiece movie MPM line has actually been kicking a lot of goals with their figures lately. They had a great release. I think it was Ironhide, and then they've released Starscream, or they're about to release Starscream recently. So it's going great guns. And by releasing more NPMs, it takes the pedal off the main Masterpiece line release, so I don't have to buy that many figures as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, because I know you collect Masterpiece, does that also transfer to movie Masterpiece?
Nah, different series. I can't abide a gap in my MP numbering, but these are NPMs. They're completely different numbers.
That's good justification there, my friend.
My wallet is happy. NPM Ratchet is forthcoming. Not sure if we have a price or release date on him just yet. While we're talking about movie figures, this is not an MPM, but he still looks pretty damn good. This is the Studio Series SS65 Blitzwing. This is the representation of Blitzwing that was often confused for Starscream and appeared in the Bumblebee movie. And I feel like he's quite a good look. Quite a good look actually here. His jet mode is not very screen accurate, but that's okay. Something's got to give. And yeah, like I think his robot mode, which you would probably be the one that gets displayed on the shelf, looks great. And since these photos came out, they have actually revised the head paint job, so he does have a darker colored head now as well. What do you guys think of this? Have you guys collected many figures from the Bumblebee movie? I mean, there's not that many characters to collect.
I've been trying to focus on the larger scale stuff, so Blitzwing, but I haven't gone for 3A Blitzwing because it doesn't transform. And then you look at this. This does transform and looks quite nice, but doesn't transform accurately. And
well, it transforms into what they designed it to transform into.
Yeah. But yeah, for whatever reason, I'm feeling really picky with Blitzwing. I don't know why. I should be happy with what's out there, but this doesn't quite do it for me. Can't really
I don't mind him, but I'm not that fast.
I think it's
I don't feel the need to have a Blitzwing from the Bumblebee movie because he was dead within 10 minutes. But yeah,
well, I mean,
even if he was dead within 10 minutes, he still had more screen time and dialogue than the majority of Bayform's characters.
True.
Figures
and he did have a very crucial point. Well, he did silence Bumblebee, but then again, has this movie officially been declared as not part of the Bayverse?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
so
Lorenzo said it, so who knows?
Yeah, that's what I'm still confused about. So, I mean, this guy either had a pivotal role in that he silenced Bumblebee, or he didn't have a pivotal role and he died in the first 10 minutes.
The two are not mutually exclusive. The one thing that I think is a bit disappointing about the alt mode is that they haven't got the Decepticon symbol on the missiles, which is such a great scene in the movie as the jet sort of as the jet sort of rose into view. And you're like, oh, it's a jet, and then you see the Decepticon logo, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think the thing that irks me about that alt mode is just the way they set that scene up was so good. It was just a gorgeous scene. That transformation sequence is one of the best they've done. You get that stuff of the missiles, and none of the details are quite there to represent that.
I don't really understand the smear of dark grey on the back either.
Yeah. I feel like Blitzwing's movie design and presentation is something that was very easy to fall in love with, and this is a figure I'm finding very hard to fall in love with.
Just wait for Masterpiece next week.
Well, maybe, yeah. I gotta say, I'm more there for the alt mode than anything else.
Yeah, I was kind of the opposite because I have basically no complaints about the robot mode. I think that looks excellent.
Sorry, that's what I mean. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm there for the robot mode, not the alt mode.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we're on the same page.
Awkward.
Yeah.
I'll say, I do think he could use having swappable actual hands. I mean, he has the swappable left hand, but actually, what am I talking about? I'm just completely looking at this wrong.
He's got a left hand, but he's right.
His right hand's holding that gun. Forget I said anything. Sorry, I've just completely missed that crucial detail.
Is that his right or his left?
So his left hand's swappable, and in his right hand, you plug the gun sort of over it. So yeah, forget I said anything. This figure looks excellent.
All right.
Jeez.
Okay, moving on.
Blitzwing.
I cannot believe I didn't notice that.
No, fair enough.
I legit thought that his right hand, he didn't have one. I thought that was all canon.
Yeah, and then I just saw you can just make out his thumb underneath it, and I was, oh, okay.
Okay.
Because they don't have him displayed without the gun in any of the pictures, but
Yeah.
there you go.
All right. I think we've reached the end of news for the show. We have. I'm going to kick out the news screen share, and it's just back to us. Hey guys, how you doing? Did you come here?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
A few weeks
It is that time that we talk about some new acquisitions. I've already spoken about Skylink, so I've got a couple of other things. But who's got new figures? Who's managed to score new Transformers during a global pandemic?
Not me. Well, I have, but I've yet to actually collect them. So
Okay.
I have. They're not here yet.
Oh, fair enough.
Very
so
exciting, I know.
I've got Skylinks, and that's about it. Actually, no, that's not. Actually, just looking out, I can see I got two other things on the open pile. I managed to. No, I haven't. They're not in the room. I did manage to get a couple of MMC figures. I got the Foxwire and Nickel 2-pack. Nickel being the cutest member ever, the cutest Decepticon ever, as she was a member of the DJD, and also the other big DJD guy that I can't quite see, so I can't quite make him out. But I have a DJD shelf behind me here, which is about to get quite a beef up. So I'll be happy to add these guys onto that shelf. So I'm just going to put myself on the full screen so you can see what I've got up here as I do my impression of the TV weather girl. Is I've got sort of two shelves of More Than Meets the Eye and Lost Light. I've got the good guys along here, which is very crowded, and I've got the bad guys along here, which is not very crowded. So that shelf is about to get beefed up a little bit, and I hope MMC's got a couple more DJD guys coming. I'm not quite sure. I think I might have missed
a long time coming.
Sorry?
So they've been a long time coming. Like
they have this.
They put out their Voss. No, the
Voss.
What is the first one was?
Yeah, Sinicus was Voss.
A few years.
Yeah. They've been working their way through the comics, but I was putting figures up on my shelf, I noticed that MMC hasn't gone near Chrome Dome. And I think they've got one coming now, but Chrome Dome is one of the most popular characters in the comics. So it was surprising to see that they hadn't done a Chrome Dome yet. But I believe they've shown off a prototype of Chrome Dome, so he should be coming in the next year or so.
Could it just be an engineering thing? It's difficult to realize these designs in the comics?
I don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's that bad for Chrome Dome.
Yeah.
No, but I mean for like the Decepticon Justice Division characters, do you think it's difficult to take something from the comics and realize it as a toy, and that's why there's such a huge gap?
I mean, yeah. I mean, indubitably, there's that. MMC does have some clever designers doing their figures as well, but I think also there's a perception. There's a perception that's we sort of get from Japan, which is bad guys don't sell. People prefer to collect good guys, at least in Japan. But I think if you look at comics fans, if you can create a memorable bad guy or a memorable bad guy team, they'll be just as popular. And let's not forget, MMC can also then sort of go into the scavengers as well and do some scavengers too. So I think there's still plenty of stuff for them to mine. I think they do like to do it sort of at their own pace and make good quality figures, and they do make very high quality figures. So we're pretty happy with them. I do have a lot of their figures on my shelves. So yeah.
Cool.
The only other thing I've pre-ordered Fans Hobby Athena, which is she's a representation of
Minerva.
What's her name? Minerva. Yes, she looks great. Really nice colors, really nice sculpt. It will be my first Fans Hobby release. So yeah.
I saw a video review of her today, and she looks pretty interesting. She's not. Is she meant to be masterpiece or classic scale?
So she's going for about $130. So I'd say she's probably maybe a little bit larger than a Voyager. I don't know know about being masterpiece scale. There's been a bunch of masterpiece figures that have masterpiece scale figures that are coming around the $100 mark recently. So maybe one of them, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it just sort of a little bit larger than a Voyager, perhaps.
I think there was a comparison with Voyager Megatron, and roughly the same size.
Yeah, it seems about right for the price point. So yeah. But of course, scale doesn't really need to cross lines anyway. Given that's the end, I'll drop briefly into some club news because we are in fact as we always like to say at the end of the show, we are a production of Transformers Collectors Club Australia. The club is a non-profit club that is established in Victoria, and we are entering a new membership year now. Things are a little bit different this year. Club management is a little bit different. The club's now being run by our good friend Simon Chambers, friend of the show, has been on the podcast before. We'll be on the podcast again soon. Simon is currently running some fundraising operations. We've run a couple of raffles for Skylinks in the group, and once we've handled some of those fundraising operations, we'll be able to get the membership cards and packs manufactured for this year. So expect to see some news on membership options soon. In the past, we've gone live with that right on the first day of the new year, but this year it's all a little bit different. It's a bit of a transition, so bear with us and we'll get there in the end. Membership packs might look a little bit different this year as well, but they should be no less exciting. Other than that,
we do have one other bit of club news.
Yes, go on. Oh yeah, well,
I'm trying to break your memory.
Yeah, so just today, the club did tick over 4,000 members on Facebook as well, which means that we are now available in 4K Ultra HD. So, thank you. If you are a member of the club on Facebook and the club's discussion group, of course, Transformers Collectors Club Australia, thank you for being a part of it. And we look forward to the next 4,000. Although I suspect finding 4,000 more fans in Australia might be a little bit more difficult. We'll see how we go. We might be at a critical mass. We'll find out. I'm assuming that was the news you were alluding to, Max.
Yeah, I've got nothing.
Yeah, so that was pointed out to me earlier tonight by Simon. He sent along a photo with exactly 4,000 members circled. And so I went and took a screenshot. On my Android app, it says 4K, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So, it just aids the joke.
Well done.
All right, so that I'm going to call it. That's the end of the show. If you want to find out more about these stories, you'll find links to them all in the show notes posted to the Transformers Weekly Facebook page and the Podbean site. Thank you for listening. If you're watching the live record, and I can see someone is right now, thanks for checking us out. It's a Friday night. Everyone is at home because it's a pandemic, but everyone's got other things to do. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on transformersweekly.podbean.com, the Australian Transformers Weekly Facebook page, and, of course, we are all in the Transformers Collectors Club Australia group on Facebook. That is all from us. We would like to say that we'll be back next week, but who knows? It might be a few weeks. It depends how much news comes out during the week and whether or not we can stretch it to a discussion that ranges to the vicinity of 1 hour and 20 minutes as we have tonight. So, as I said, if you've been listening along, thank you very much. And we'll be back to you. We'll be back with you in a couple of weeks' time, perhaps. Good night and goodbye.
Gotcha.